Hey there. Hello. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Gabriel.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Heidi. Hang on just a second. Cody, did you join through MSRGN?
I was trying to join through my personal account. I can make you host.
Yeah, because I need to do the closed captioning.
And let me
There we go.
change my
Thank you.
name.
All right, Heidi, did I do it correctly? Yay! Okay. Thank you for teaching me something new. Hi, Maria.
Morning.
Hi, Jen. Again, I was just on the line with Jen. Hi, Jesus.
How
Hi,
are you?
Christina. Hi, Lourdes. Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. All
Sorry.
right. Well, thank you all for joining. Sorry, I was just 1 minute late. I was on the line with Jen, wrapping up our Montana call. Hey, Michaela. All right, we'll give everybody just a second to get all situated here. So this is the genetic pop-ups orientation call. If you're looking for that, you're in the right place.
All righty.
All righty. So I thought we'd start off today with some introductions, just because some of you know each other, some of you don't. And I just think this is a special bunch because you guys have all stepped up to host a genetics pop-up for Mountain States. And we are so appreciative of your commitment, and we've got some 3-timers on here, so this is their 3rd time hosting a pop-up. So that's pretty exciting too. So so I thought maybe we could just do a quick round robin, go into huge long biography, but just hi, who you are, what state you're in, and if this is your first time hosting a pop-up, or if this is your 2nd or 3rd time. I'll start off. I think you all know me. I'm Christy Weiss, the projects manager for Mountain States, and I am so excited for this pop-up season. Pop-ups were a idea in my head 4 years ago, and now it's really become a reality. So this is exciting. I'll let our staff go introduce themselves first, because I know these are the folks that you've been hearing from on emails and stuff. So I just want to make sure you have a name with a face for Cody and Michaela. So Cody, if you want to go ahead next, and then I just saw Michaela on. I think she's connected now. So yeah, go ahead, Cody.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so I'm Cody Price. I'm currently the administrative assistant for MSRGN. I'm in Texas, and I have very strong feelings about that. Yeah, I'm just here to help with everything. And Michaela is really the point person for the genetic pop-ups, but I think we've all kind of emailed back and forth. And so if there's anything I can ever help with, just let me know.
Perfect. And Michaela, do you want to go? Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? I've never zoomed off my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michaela Perkins. I am the intern for MSRGN, the genetic pop-ups, as Cody and Christy have mentioned. You've probably seen my name come across your emails a couple of times, so that's me. And I'm really looking forward to all of your pop-ups and this meeting. So,
Thanks, Michaela. All right, we'll just go down the line. I have Gabriel next. Do you have a second, Gabriel, that you can introduce yourself?
Yes, I do. I'm Gabriel Torres, or Gabe, and along with Lourdes, we're in El Paso. This is going to be our first time, and we're looking forward to it.
Great, thank you. Lourdes, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, since you guys are tag teaming it together for your pop-up?
Sure, thank you. I'm happy to be here with you all. And this is our first pop-up. So I'm Gabriel's wife, and we're very happy to do it. So we are in El Paso, Texas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next I have Maria and Jesus up on my screen. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, as I'm Jesus' mom, I'm from Colorado. And well, this is gonna be our 3rd one or 4th one. Well, 3rd one. Yeah, 3rd one. And we excited. I mean, this is gonna be virtual, so it's gonna be a new experience for us, unlike everybody else. So we probably learned something from that.
A timeout. I think a third or two. 'Cause I thought it was two, not
Third.
three.
Third.
Okay,
I think
okay,
it's
okay.
the third. I think it's your third.
Yeah. it is the
Híjole,
third.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, hi, call me
Yes,
Chewy.
because we did 2 in Colorado. That's why I was counting this one as a 4, but it's actually the 3rd year, I would say.
Third year, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done almost many, we've done almost many pop-ups now, and we are here, a part of the group to help give a hope or help to families, doctors, hospital clinics for kids when they're very young, and see how help out. Adios.
And you're Jesus. Did you say
Yeah.
that? Did you tell to everybody that you're Jesus?
Well, because yeah, call me Chewy. It's a long story,
Call you
not that
Chewy.
story.
That's right. Call you
Yeah,
Chewy.
yeah.
Okay.
What's your
Uh,
story?
All right. Next, I have up Jamie. Do you have a second, Jamie, to introduce yourself?
Yep. So I'm Jamie Stefanski. I have 2 kiddos with rare genetic disorder, and I'm a PT and neuromovement practitioner. This will be my third genetics pop-up, and I'm on the Colorado State team.
And Jamie had to take her pop-up virtual last year because of COVID. So she did a little bit of an experiment, right, Jamie? We tried this last year because we had to, because we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for being flexible last year and figuring it out. So, all right, next I have up Heidi. Heidi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. This is Heidi. I am in Arizona. I'm the executive director for Arizona Hands and Voices, and we service deaf and hard of hearing children and their families. So this is our first time actually hosting it. We were part of the audience last year for a couple of the pop-ups, and we're excited to bring it to Arizona families again this year.
And Heidi taught me how to do this closed captioning at the bottom of the screen in Zoom. Is that so cool? So thank you, Heidi, for teaching me something new. All right.
Absolutely.
Next I have up Hannah. Go ahead, Hannah.
Hey everyone, I'm Hannah Barnhart and I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is I guess technically my second time. The first time I couldn't physically attend myself, but I did it with Amy Holly. But yeah, I'm excited. It's the first time that it's, virtual. So hopefully we get some folks and just get them learning about genetics.
Thank you, Hannah. So glad you're here. And next I have Jen.
Hello, I'm Jen Biana. I live in Montana, and I'm on the Montana Mountain States Regional Genetics Network state team. I have a daughter with a rare neurodevelopmental disability that is related to the 18th chromosome. And this is my second genetics pop-up.
Thank you, Jen. All right, and I see a note from Francina that she's driving but listening in. So Francina, if you can introduce yourself, please do. If you can't, we totally understand because we don't want you to do anything that's dangerous while you're driving. So.
Hi, everyone. My name is Francina Taveras, and I am the resource coordinator and a family advocate for El Grupo Vida. It will be my first experience, but the second one that a pop-up happens in our organization, thanks to Maria and Jesus.
Thank you, Francina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So glad you're here. All right, I think we have everybody. Did I miss anybody? That's maybe not showing up on my list. I think I got everybody. So we have 2 other hosts and hostesses that couldn't make it today. One is Emma Burt from Colorado, and one is Rebecca Coleman from Arizona. And Rebecca's going to be doing it for high school students, doing a pop-up for high school students. And Emma is applying to genetic counseling programs. So she's very interested in becoming a genetic counselor, and she's just doing it for anyone who wants to hear about genetics in her area. So, all right, so I'm going to share my screen real quick because I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of just kind of the flow of the pop-up, since we're doing it a little differently this year with virtual, and you guys, we used to send a box, and that was we sent you a box with all the stuff in it, and that's what you guys took to your pop-up and presented with the information from there. Does that work? You see my screen there? There we go.
Yeah.
This year it's a little different because we're doing it online. So we thought I think we've talked a little bit about this with everybody, but we thought that what might work is to have a kind of a little bit of a schedule of what how the pop-ups would go, so they would just give us all a guide that we could follow. And so this is just it kind of sketched out of what a pop-up might look like. We can modify this, and we've talked with different ones of you that we might want to tweak this in different ways, but this in general is kind of what we planned for the pop-ups with your input and your participation, because you guys are the host and hostesses. So we don't want to come in and take over the pop-up, but we want to be there to support you. And so the first five minutes or so will be welcome and intro. We would love if you, as the host and hostesses of the pop-ups, would do that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that and you want Mountain States, you want one of us, Cody, Michaela, or I to take that part, we're happy to do so. But I think it's really great if you guys can welcome the people that are coming to the pop-up, so they have a name with the face. And then if you're comfortable sharing your story, or have somebody that you're doing your pop-up with, or a family member that is taking part in the pop-up that would like to share their story about genetics, that there's definitely time for that. And I feel like stories really speak to people and give that kind of personal touch and let people understand how it looks for another family. So we definitely have time for that. I put 10 minutes there. We did do a video, as we had mentioned to you all, for a 15-minute video. I just recorded it this morning, and I'm after I'm done showing you this, I'll show you a bit of it. But we focused around the theme of questions families ask about genetics. We get a lot of questions at Mountain States about genetics. I'm sure you all in your different roles and just out and about have experienced a lot of questions. And so we tried to take kind of the top 5 questions, put them into a short presentation with some answers and some resources. So not just this is the way it is, but here's where you can explore more about if you have this type of question. So that's 15 minutes. I recorded it just so that it's consistent and it can be played pretty easily through Zoom. And then it segues into an open question and answer time. For any of you that are using if we're hosting it on our Zoom platform, we've built into the registration a question about what are your questions. So we're gathering some of that when people register for your pop-up, and hopefully that will help us for this open Q&A period, because as you probably know, sometimes people just kind of get stage fright and don't want to speak up. And so it might be dead silence after we ask for questions. And so in order to be a little bit prepared for that, we can have some questions, kind of already available that we could ask and talk, with one of us and you all start the conversation, and hopefully that will encourage people to type some questions in the chat or turn on their microphone or camera and ask a question. So we allowed about 20 minutes for that. That can be, plus or minus depending on the conversation. And then last but not least, we do have the funding for the gift cards. So we have $300 per pop-up that can be used for gift cards. And the drawing for those of you that are using our Zoom platforms, we're gonna draw from the attendees. So whoever registered will be checking off who's actually on the call and doing the drawing from those attendees. For those who are using your own platform, so I think that's Francina, Maria and Jesus and Francina are using the El Grupo Vida platform, and I think Heidi, they're using their platform. We have a little form made up, a Google form, where we can put that in the chat, and anyone that's online who wants to be part of the gift card drawing can enter their information in that. So we might do that before we start the Q&A, just to give people time, and then we can do the drawing from that form. And then last but not least, we have a post pop-up survey, and I'm going to ask Cody if he has a quick second and has it handy, if he would pop that into the chat, so everybody can kind of take a look at the post pop-up survey that we came up with. Right now I only have that in English, but Francine, I sent it to Francina and she said she might be able to help put it into Spanish. So I'm not sure what the status is of that. Not to put you on the spot, Francina, but we do have it in English right now. And
yes, I shared it with you. If you didn't see it, let me know so that I can share it again.
Okay, I'll go back and check. I apologize that we've been working on a big report for our funders this week, so I might have missed it. So I'll definitely go back and look for it. Thank you. So anyway, we have that post pop-up survey, and one of the questions we just added to the survey, because as I was thinking about this and recording the Q&A part this morning, was what if a family is stuck and they really need some help? Like, what's their next step? And Mountain States has just launched an application for a genetic navigator program where we're going to actually have one person, hopefully in all of our 8 states, that can actually help families navigate. So we added question number 11 to this survey. And if you guys want to click on it, it should just, it's in the chat box now that Cody put in there. But question number 11 says, do you need help? Do you need help navigating genetics? Yes or no? And if they click yes, it requires them to put their information in for the sole purposes of that we can contact them. If they click no, it just goes on and you finish the survey. You can finish the survey anonymously. And it guides you there to say, if you want to be anonymous, click no for this question. But we're hoping that will give people a chance that if they do need some help, if they do need to find a geneticist, if they're not sure how to talk with their primary care doctor about it, that there's some way we are able to connect with them and help them. Hopefully with our navigator program, we'll be up and running here in a couple of weeks once we get everybody trained, but we have our internal staff that can follow up as well. So that's a little bit of an overview of the kind of the flow of it. Does anyone have any questions about that part, or do you want to talk about any changes that you want to make for your particular pop-up?
So I do have a couple of questions for the questions. Will we see them ahead of time?
Which ones are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I apologize. The previous questions, the registration questions.
Yeah, you actually should have, you mean the questions we get, not the registration itself, but the questions we get from the registration. Is that what you mean?
That's correct,
too many
yes.
questions.
I think you say 5 questions, right, Christy?
Yeah, we have
5 questions.
We have 5 standard questions I'm going to answer in the video, and I'll show you that in just a second. But I think what Gabriel's talking about is as part of the registration, when somebody registers and is using our Mountain State Zoom, we ask them, do you have any questions about genetics? And so, yes, we have those, Gabriel. We can run in a report and we can send those. I know yours is coming up next Friday, correct? I think you guys are on the 19th.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so we can run a report like Thursday and send what we have so far. I just checked the other day, and I think your guys' pop-up had about 11 people registered already for it. So we can pull that now and see what those questions are, or we can pull it also closer to the date of the pop-up, just to make sure we catch as many as we can. Yeah.
Okay,
another,
and the other yes, it does.
Okay. Go ahead.
The other question that I have, so we're going to have a couple of folks that we believe have, we're sure have experience with, dealing with families and, they're leaders in the community and things like that. We're hoping that they show up. So I wanted to, based on the algorithm that you have, to talk a little bit about, the types of testing, but I don't want to get myself into trouble, right? Because I'm not an expert. I'm just the highlights. Would you be able to, if I would show you the presentation, later, obviously, to tell me if, if you think it's a good idea to talk about those items.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're thinking about sharing that at what point? Like in the beginning when you're sharing your story, or at the question and answer
Exactly.
part?
Yeah. So what we wanted to do was, show what we went through with our situation with Gabby, which she also has a ultra rare condition, our daughter, and at the same time kind of correlated to the algorithm.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to take a look at that and happy to give you're kind of asking, like, is it too deep of a dive, or you maybe want my perspective on that? Like how much detail to go into?
That's correct. I mean, to me, the most important thing will be, the importance of the genetic evaluation, and you have the points there in the resources. So that I'm just gonna prepare a slide for that and just show it, and then the other one is, where you talk about that modified algorithm about the history and physical exam, and also the MRI of the brain, just in general.
Yeah, you're talking
one
about
slide
the
about that.
developmental delay algorithm, I think. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm happy to take a look at that, and I'm happy to talk through that with you one-on-one, if, just to, make you feel more comfortable. I'll be there to answer questions if people want more details, and we can get them to the right resources for sure. Yeah. No
Okay.
problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else have any questions? I just put down the schedule because I was going to pop up the video, but go ahead if anybody else has any questions about kind of the flow of it, or I know Jen had a burning question about whether we were going to answer what is a de novo mutation. So I'm going to ask you, Jen, that was not one of the 5 that I answered. So I'm going to ask you to maybe keep that in your back pocket for the Q&A, and that could be one of your questions that you can answer during the open Q&A.
Thank you. I'm also wondering about whether or not we should share the links to the forms for Montana, so that parents or family members have the access to our genetics hospital, and then also to the genetics program that helps pay. So should I share those with you? And you can.
I think they would be great to share in the chat. Like, I think that's the best place to get it right to the people to click on. And then we can always do part of the follow-up. We could also link to them. So I'm happy to, I think they would, you know what? I think those would be great things to add to your Montana State team page, actually. So you might want to think about that. We could link them on the Mountain States site, and then we could link to them in the follow-up email.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay. Great question. Yeah, Heidi, you see a hand up.
Thank you. This is Heidi. So I just have a question, because I know we've talked about it before. As far as genetics, I'm very, very clueless on, so I'm not the expert to be able to bring that information. So I thank you for being the one that's actually going to present that stuff. So I just wanted to ask about the actual part where you said you have 20 minutes that you're presenting, I guess. So is that mostly the video? Is that what's happening during that time?
Yeah, so hang on just a second. There we go. So I have a 15-minute video that has 5 questions that are the top 5. It's does anybody remember David Letterman with his top 10 list? Like it's just 5 questions and resources. And then there's a 20-minute section that I thought could be opened up for anybody that's attending to really ask questions. And we can get anything under the sun, and I'm not going to be able to, I'm no expert in genetics either. I do this every day of my life, but I'm not a geneticist. I'm not a genetic researcher. So I'm not a genetic counselor. So there might be things that I can't answer. I don't know the answer to. And so just bear with me that there might be some things we have to get back to people on, but we will do our best. I'll do my best to support you. And there might be other people on the line. This is what I love about pop-ups, is there's sometimes people in the room or on the line that have had an experience that can answer somebody else's questions. So that's where that 20 minutes is kind of more hopefully conversational, except if no one talks. And that's what we have to be prepared for. If no one says anything and then it's dead silence, then it gets a little uncomfortable.
So this is Heidi again. So that brings me to another question, because I, like Gabrielle, I would love to be able to have some idea of what some questions might be, because that's kind of what I do when I run my events anyways, is I do some of those fillers and throwing questions out there to get the conversation flowing. So having some of those up front would be helpful as well. I know that's a little difficult because we don't actually have a registration for Arizona one, but you know, if you have some of those general ones that you're seeing across the state, that would be helpful. My other question comes to, because we are a deaf and hard of hearing population, and excuse me, so we need that captioning along with ASL. So I'm just curious, because I have not yet done a Zoom event where we played a video, so I don't know how that works with whether or not the caption would pick that up. Do you have, how is your video formatted? Is it a YouTube? Is it something so that way I have an idea as far as captions?
So can we try it right now? Because I have the video up, it's in YouTube, and we can try it right now since we have the captioning on to see if it captures it. Will that work? And then I see, before I do that, for just 1 second, I'm going to call on Jamie because she has a question. But one other comment for you, Heidi, is that the good news is yours is in March. So we'll have had quite a few pop-ups before you. So we'll gather all those questions and have them in our back pockets in case no one says anything.
Right, and this is Heidi again. So that way we can kind of pay attention to whether or not we would need to turn off those live captions. Because if YouTube has it, then that's great. And then if not, vice versa, making sure that live captions is on and picking it up if there's no captions on the YouTube. So thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Jamie.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I asked to watch the video so we could see what the questions were, because I had some suggestions if we need to fill that time, but I wanted to see what was in the video first.
Okay, perfect. So does everybody have time right now if I go ahead and play it? And then
yes, I just
did this morning, and so I can redo it or you can re-record it if anything's wrong with it. Go ahead, Francina, did you have something?
Yes. Is there a version in Spanish?
So we are working on that. So Michaela has offered to work with her friend to do a translation in Spanish, and I'm hoping that that's still a possibility. She's shaking her head yes. So do you want to go ahead and answer that, Michaela?
Yes, so my friend and colleague, she's very fluent in Spanish, and I asked if she would be willing to do that, just so that you guys, or the Spanish speaking people, don't have to adapt to English, that we adapt to them. So as soon as we get the okay from you guys that everything looks good, then Lucy is her name, will work on getting that. So that's the plan.
That is great.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So we're sorry to interrupt. We're also making the effort to do it in Spanish. Who else is making the effort to try and show it in Spanish and do the pop-up in Spanish?
So I think Maria and Jesus and Francina is supporting them with
El Grupo Vida.
So Maria and Jesus meet Gabriel and Lourdes, and Francina meet Gabriel and Lourdes.
Nice to meeting you.
Same.
Nice to meet you.
So can everyone see my screen? I'm going to try and see if it works. Hopefully I optimize the audio. So let's see what happens.
Pop up. We are so glad that you are here. Thanks for joining us. We just want to start off with a statement from our funders. This program is supported by HRSA, and if you would like more information about them, you can go to hrsa.gov. Called the Top 5 Questions Families Ask About Genetic Services. I am Christy Weiss, the projects manager for Mountain States Regional Genetics Network, and I am excited to talk with you about some of the questions we often hear from families about genetics and genetic services. So let's jump right in. Question 1 is, how do I know if my loved one may have a genetic condition? This is a great question because you don't know if you need genetic services if you don't know what to look for. And in the world of genetics, sometimes these what to look fors are called red flags, or symptoms or signs or things that might raise a red flag that something genetic might be going on. What is a red flag, you might ask? Some are listed here, but this is not an exhaustive list, but some things that you might see in a child or a young adult might be congenital eye defects or blindness, significant hearing loss or deafness, developmental delays, heart defects, abnormal physical features or abnormal skin findings, and then intellectual disabilities might be another red flag. There are many, many more, but these are just some of the top categories that might signal a sign that something genetic might be going on. If you'd like to get some more information about red flags, we are actually doing a survey right now, gathering red flags from parents who have gone on to have a genetic diagnosis. So you can find that survey by going to our website, mountainstatesgenetics.org, and typing in the search box red flags, and the survey should pop up in your search results. We'll talk a little bit more about other ways you can access this survey in a bit. Question number 2 that we are often asked about genetics is, how do I find a geneticist to see for my loved one, myself, or my child? So we highly recommend that you start with a conversation with your primary care physician or your child's pediatrician first. They should be able to provide guidance to you on a referral to a geneticist. However, if they're not able to help you, or if you feel like you need more assistance, we have on our website, mountainstatesgenetics.org, a Find a Clinic map. And for our 8-state region, this map will help you find the clinics that are nearby. Some clinics might be in-person clinics, some clinics might have the option for outreach clinics, and some might even be able to do telehealth or telegenetic consults. So if you scroll down to the bottom of our homepage, you'll find that Find a Clinic box there where the green arrow is pointing, and you can click there to see more. So moving on to question number 3, is genetic testing expensive? How can I get a genetic test paid for? So this is a great question because many people believe that genetic testing is outside the realm of affordability, but a lot has changed over just the last 10 years. The price has continued to drop for genetic testing. And so it might be quite a bit less expensive than you might have imagined in your mind. With that being said, insurance is often helpful though for covering these costs for families. Both private and public insurance do cover genetic testing, but each plan is slightly different. So the best way to start out is to contact your insurance provider. You can find the phone number on the back of your insurance card and just ask them about genetic testing coverage for your specific plan. You can also see a geneticist or genetic counselor, and their staff is very well versed at filing the proper insurance paperwork and providing additional documentation that may be requested and necessary to get a genetic test covered. Sometimes this additional paperwork is called letters of medical necessity, and those need to be provided by a geneticist or genetics counselor. And then also, last but not least, many of the labs that do the genetic testing have financial aid programs for any out-of-pocket costs that a family might experience. Some of them have programs that will cover this entire cost. Some of them have payment plans. And so that's also something else to explore. And question number 4. Why do I need genetic services for my loved one? How can it help them? This is a great question because some people wonder what they can really find out from genetic testing or from seeing a geneticist. I can tell you firsthand that knowing a genetic diagnosis can help a family find treatments. They can help them find support groups and support in their community. It can help you access services and resources that you might not have otherwise had access to. And it can give you comfort in having guidance to care for your loved one. As a resource for this, I wanted to mention a great organization called GARD. It stands for Genetic and Rare Disease Information Center. And it has a hotline number, a toll-free number, both in English and Spanish, which is open Monday through Friday from noon to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, that is staffed by genetic counselors that can actually give you more information and details on genetic conditions and rare diseases. So if you've recently gotten a diagnosis for your child or loved one and you want to learn more about that, or you want to connect with support groups or treatments or clinical trials, this is a great place to start. Their number is listed there, 1-888-205-2311. And this organization and service are free of charge. And last but not least, question number 5, how long does it take to get genetic testing results? This is a great question because many families wonder, is it going to be years before I know an answer, or is it going to be a few weeks? And the length of time can vary depending on the type of genetic testing offered. However, generally speaking, it's from weeks to about a month's time or a little bit longer. For example, one of the very popular genetic testing right now is called whole exome sequencing, or WES for short, WES for short. It can take up to about a month or so to get results. And the caveat here is if results are found. But the lab can certainly, the lab where your sample is being sent or your loved one's sample is being sent can absolutely give you an idea of what they call the turnaround time for results. Let's talk about that if results are found piece, because that one can be a little bit misleading for families as well. Oftentimes families may have to undergo multiple rounds of genetic testing to receive a diagnosis. And this diagram here, though it has lots of boxes and it is quite busy, is really just meant to give an illustration and show that for whole exome sequencing, you can look at these 2 boxes here for cognition, for intellectual disability, or behavior for autism spectrum disorders. And let's zoom in a little bit. And you can see this percentage here in the circle. So for cognition or intellectual disability, about 42% of individuals, families that have undergone genetic testing for that symptom or that diagnosis have found a genetic cause through whole exome sequencing. And also for autism spectrum disorder, you can see that number here is 8.4% for families that have undergone that testing, whole exome sequencing for autism spectrum disorders. So you can see it varies. It's not 100% of every single person that gets genetic testing will find a genetic answer, but these boxes give a little bit of idea of some of the things seen in pediatric and childhood conditions that might have a genetic cause and lead to diagnosis. So last but not least, I just wanted to tell you who Mountain States Regional Genetics Network is and how we can help. So MSRGN stands for Mountain States Regional Genetics Network, and we are basically a network of 8 states. These 8 states are seen here from top to bottom: Montana, Wyoming, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And we are a part of a larger regional genetic structure. You can see us in yellow here, but the whole country is covered by these different regions. And basically we are all funded by HRSA, as I mentioned in the beginning, which is a federal organization. And we are funded to increase access and improve access to genetic services for individuals and families, specifically in our 8-state region, and specifically those who are underserved by genetic services currently. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Those are our handles there. So you can look us up there. But we are here to help you access genetic services. We are here to help you answer questions you have about genetic services. As I mentioned before, one of the things that you can take a look at is our red flags survey that's open right now. If you have a child that has a genetic diagnosis and you would like to share with us some of the red flags, some of the symptoms you noticed as a parent, we would love for you to take that survey. You can scan these codes here or just go to our website on our front page under the news tab and find the link. But we have it in English on the left there and Spanish on the right in the turquoise. I'll leave this up for a moment so you can get your smartphones out and scan those. And then something else I wanted to let you know about is our Genetic Navigator program. We are just getting this started, and so we have an application open right now. This is for families to help other families navigate the genetic system. So if you have figured this out for your child, if you've navigated genetic testing and you would like to help other families, we encourage you to apply. The due date is March 1st, 2021, and you can scan this QR code or again, go to our website, mountainstatesgenetics.org, and it can be found under the news tab, a link to this application. And last but not least, it is question and answer time. We want to open the floor to ask you what other genetic questions you have. We've gotten some of those questions from our registration, so we'll start off with some of those. But if you have other questions about genetics, we encourage you to type those into the chat box so that we can answer them live. Thank you for joining us today. And at the end of the pop-up, we're going to have a survey. And this is how you can get in contact with us and let us know that you would like to talk with us or our assistance. We have a question that we've added. If you would like some help navigating genetics, question number 11. If you are in need of some assistance with that, check yes to question number 11 and give us your contact information, and we will get back to you with more information and to find out how we can help. Thank you so much for attending, and let's open it up for live question and answer. And we want to provide a safe place for you to be able to get your questions answered about genetics. Thank you. Take care.
All right, sounds like I have pixelation going on. Sorry, guys. Let me stop sharing for a second and just pop something up real quick and just see if this is any different. All right, how about this? Is that clearer?
That's better.
Get a genetic test paid for.
Is that a lot better?
Yeah, you know,
It is.
it didn't seem like it started till partway through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you go forward.
So you might want to go forward just a little bit because it didn't start. It started out fine.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
I can tell you firsthand.
Here, or keep going. So it was really bad at the end. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. That's better.
This looks better.
Okay.
Oh, that's better.
Lots better?
Yeah,
Yes.
I could read this at all. Last
Yeah.
time.
Okay, so I will check. It might be because I just did it a couple hours before I uploaded it to YouTube, so it might be in the post-processing. Do you know, sometimes it takes a little while for the videos to be fully up on YouTube. Like it's up and I can access it by the link, but it might not be fully HD or whatever yet. So I will, Cody and Michaela and I will test that internally. If not, this is the MP4 file is what I just pulled up. So this is the raw video footage that if I had to, we could use that, I think. But that's not going to help for Heidi's captioning on YouTube that she wants to check. But we'll look into that, Heidi, and see which one works better, whether the YouTube captioning or the Zoom captioning.
This is Heidi. So I will say that as the presentation went on, the captioning did a pretty good job of it. I will say, I think, I forget who it was that made the suggestion, but when you're talking about like HRSA or things like that, just maybe say the acronym letters because it comes up as herself. Just little things like that.
It's I believe HRSA is spelled out on the slide if she can't go back and re-record it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. we'll work around that. I just wanted to make sure we figured out the pixelation piece. So we'll check that. Again, it could be connection, it could be YouTube. I'm not exactly sure, but thank you guys for letting me know. How about feedback on just the questions themselves and the resources and answers? Is there anything there that you think is really needs to be said in a different way? We need a different resource there. Do you feel like these are the top questions? I know I asked a lot of you for input on these, and I tried to weave some of your input into these questions, but any feedback on the questions themselves or the presentation piece?
See, I think one thing that, having the test come back with nothing on it is also informative. And I think sometimes parents then they're like, oh, we still don't know what's going on with our kid. Well, it actually means you've eliminated an entire group of things. And so I think that's an important thing for families to know, that it's quite possible that when it does come back with that larger group, that there's no results. That's actually a result.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Do you think that can be expounded upon in the Q&A period, or do you think that needs to be worked into the presentation?
I would say if you do re-record, you could make that statement on that slide. If you don't, it's something that you can easily build into the questions.
Perfect. Okay. Go ahead, Maria.
Yes, I just want to make a comment about those questions. And remember, we talked briefly about the why, the question, I'm pretty sure it happens in other populations, but in the Hispanic, and I don't know, Lourdes disagree with me and Gabriel, that in the Hispanic population, I remember years ago,
Yeah.
there are a lot of families ask the why is me. So I don't know if that can be added maybe in the first question, when you answer that. So kind of keep it the person either a comfort or kind of alleviate, and also education, why it happens. We learned that it's a genetic thing, but it may be new moms that are in the stage of they can accept what's going on. And I think it's good to kind of provide some kind of information, but at the same time, something spiritual, something like that. I don't know. It just happens, the why is me, what happened to me. There's I remember when it happened to us, I heard a comments really positive, that it really helped me to keep going,
Maria, I think that's a good thing to talk about in the Q&A, so there can be discussion around it, because it's really a loaded question. It goes so much deeper, I think, than what Christy can touch on in a short pre-recorded presentation.
Yeah, something really, really brief, because I know, there's 5 questions, and I know everything is very important, but I think just something to, like I said, and it happens in our population. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it happens in other, parents, other populations, but I think it's a point that is good to just briefly touch.
Go ahead, Jesus.
Yeah, no, okay, at least for me and me, in our case, the why was an open-ended question, and through the years, there are teams are trying to find answers, and that's great. But to me, that why question is open-ended, to other things, and then to go back to think of not guilt, but church and that stuff. That's been a part of in my story, in our story, holistic science, all kind of stuff. So
yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I had it written down, but I wasn't exactly quite sure how I was going to be able to. I can't provide an answer, first of all, right? The why is a different journey, I think, for every different family. It's going to look different, and it's not like you said, Jesus, it's an open-ended question. It's not it's
Yeah.
not a yes or no question. It's not a factual question as far as everybody's not going to have the same answer. So I think that's a great one to open up in the discussion, because I think that might get people talking actually.
Yeah, and it can open a whole big discussion.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
true, yeah.
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 Okay.
Is that okay to maybe keep that? That's one we can all keep in our back pockets for
Yes.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the
Yes.
Q&A?
That's fine.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Fine, that's
Yeah.
good.
Well,
And
I
Maria,
just-
I can also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Jamie.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Maria, I was just going to say that, you know, if you want to talk later, I can give you an answer that I kind of normally put in my story. Like when I'm introing myself, that I've started putting it into my story, because, you know, working with kids with needs and having done children's workshops and stuff, and having been present when families just find out, it's something that I've you know, kind of analyzed in myself. Well, why was my reaction so different compared to what the majority reaction is? So I don't want to take up time here unless you guys want to hear everybody wants to hear my answer, but I know Christy's heard it before.
And I talked to you to the past. I remember, and it was your answer was really positive. I remember we talked about this in the past, Jamie.
Right.
Go ahead and share, Jamie. We have a few minutes.
So, you know, when I talk about my story and stuff, you know, my kids didn't find out their diagnosis until they were older. You know, I don't remember exact age, like around 8, between 8 and 10. And so we had done this journey. We've been on this journey for a while, and you know, your child is your child. They're who they are. Getting a diagnosis doesn't change that. They're the perfect person that they already are. The test results just give you their help. It gives you more direction, a place to look to better help your child. It doesn't define who they are. It's your child is who they are. And you know, with my kids, their diagnosis doesn't look like them. I mean, it is them, but they've knocked that diagnosis out of the water. They've surpassed every other child with that diagnosis, because I didn't define them by it.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yep.
One thing that and I don't know how to present the idea, but you know, Jamie was talking about the Odyssey, right? And that's one thing that I would hope, you know, to achieve, that you know, the Odyssey gets shortened, because it took us almost 9 years to find out what was wrong with Gabby. So and it was, you know, lack of resources, ignorance, you know, whatever. So I don't know if you know, that's one thing that can be mentioned, or maybe even for future reference or videos, you know, that you know, we call it the Odyssey, you know, the Odyssey to find the what's the diagnosis, and get it an accurate, you know, for the accurate treatment, like Jamie was talking about.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Gabriel, and I think all of us here have been on that Odyssey, and so are passionate about doing exactly what these pop-ups are doing, right? Is trying to let people know that there's some hope and there's some options out there available now. But yeah, the Odyssey piece is something I've been reading about and interested in about for a number of years. So I would love to brainstorm with you offline on some ways to, you know, bring that to light, but also shorten it, right? That would be the goal. is that not everybody that's behind us on the road has the same length of time to answers. So yeah, there's a really amazing program. This is just an aside, but there's a really amazing program at Rady Genomics Institute in San Diego, where they're doing rapid whole exome sequencing on sick newborns in the NICU. and trying to get answers for the sickest of the sickest babies in the NICU period, and changing that trajectory for those families as early on as they can, outside of the newborn screening period, for things that wouldn't be caught by newborn screening. So
Anna,
thank you for bringing that up. Go ahead, Cody.
No, I was just passing it off to Hannah.
Thank you, Cody. I actually have a little bit of a comment, and then also regarding about the presentation. So I'm coming from a different point of view. So I'm very humbled by everyone that has said that, you know, it's hard to hear it once it's been said, the diagnosis or the lack of diagnosis. But I agree with Jen that sometimes when there isn't really an answer, that is an answer. I come from the background of, I used to run the genetics clinic in Alaska, so I was the one delivering the news. So those were some tough conversations. Mind you, I'm not a clinical geneticist, but I was part of the team, the care team, that we would meet with the families and either deliver them the news, you know, this is what it is, or deliver them the news that, you know, we still have not found what is going on. So I encourage each of you in your presentations to say, ask those questions. That would be my encouragement to each of you, is to ask those questions to those providers. I have worked with providers that are very kind of scientific sometimes, and we've had to coach them to, you know, to tell them, hey, you know, these are family members. We cannot just spout off scientific information to them. We need to get down to their level and explain it to them so that they understand what the next step is. And just like Jamie said, that's the bottom line. You know, what's the next step? We're not defining your kid by this diagnosis or lack of diagnosis, but we want to help you to get to the next step in your journey. On another level, I wanted to ask Gabriel and Cody, which phones were you guys using for the QR? Because one of you worked and then the other one didn't. So I'm just curious which one.
It's just a regular iPhone. And so you won't be able to see it. I got the page right there.
Yeah. So I think Cody said it was because of the pixelated view, he thought. I tested all of them on my screen this morning and they all worked on my iPhone, but I don't, you know, that's why I direct people to the website as well, because as a second, all of them are on the front page of the website in the news column. So we'll try all the different ways. All right, we will test out the pixelation. Michaela and her coworker are working on the Spanish version. I know we have our 2 Spanish pop-ups next week. They're the ones that are focusing on Spanish. Maria and Jesus are on Wednesday, and Lourdes and Gabriel are on Friday. So we apologize for the tight turnaround. The good news is that our funders said they don't have to review it. So we don't have to go through that whole process. They trust us and they said, go with it. So that's good news. So once that's finished, we'll get it over to you guys right away to take a look at.
Christy, one last question for us. So, and for us with Grupo Vida. So I understand you're gonna be connected, right? And all this video that is gonna be presented, that's gonna be you and Francina kind of help with that. We don't, Jesus and I, we don't have to do anything because you know technology.
You guys just have to be there and share your story if you want, or be there to help us with the question and answer and sharing. That's all you gotta do. Francina and I got it on the back end, right, Francina?
Okay, thank you, Francina.
I tried tech.
Yeah, because technology, Jesus has helped me a lot, but I want to make sure that everything's gonna be perfect. I don't want to happen like it happened.
You guys are awesome. You know how to do this. Sit in front of the camera, look beautiful, and smile and talk.
We're learning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Francina, for all your help with Grupo Vida and everything. Okay.
Oh goodness.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Only because our pop-up is also in Spanish. Just a clarification. If you needed an interpreter, so it's okay with us if you are gonna be with in the presentation and probably you don't understand the Spanish, so it's okay with us if you need to have someone to helping you with that.
Yeah, so we do not have an interpreter for your pop-up. So if you are able to help me with that, if there's a question you need me to help with, that would be great. But because I do not know Spanish. So is that something you guys feel comfortable with, or is that something we might need to look for additional help with?
No, we can help with that. Yeah, I'm just feeling bad that probably you're not going to understand what we are telling, but that's why I'm asking.
Lourdes, and are you saying we could translate live or find a translator?
We can translate live for her when she needs it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And Christy, well, you could have your closed captioning on, so it would be in English for you, correct? So it would translate what they're saying in Spanish to English for you.
I think the closed captioning will only translate in the language it's in, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Okay.
I think
this is Heidi.
Expert.
We've done that, and we use it pretty often with our events that we hold. And we did an event where we had our Spanish speaking parent guides on. So we would speak in English and then they would translate in Spanish, and it tries to match silly English words to it. And that's what comes across the transcript. So it does not go from English into Spanish. You actually have to have a live captioner for that. This is just on automatic captioning that's built into the Zoom. So it's not set for the language settings.
But I think what I was thinking we could do is through PowerPoint. So PowerPoint, I think you can translate it, and it'll put the captions on the other language. So we'll try that, so it'll be easier.
Yes, that's correct. With PowerPoint, you can translate. So Gabriel and myself are going to share our screen, and then we can habilitate PowerPoint to translate our Spanish to English, and we have used that.
Wow,
I didn't know about that.
Me neither.
And it's pretty easy.
Two things today.
It's pretty easy. You just need to configure it on your PowerPoint and to have an updated version of PowerPoint, and then you can translate to any language.
Perfect.
Nice.
Okay. Well, just in an interest of time, I know everybody's got some other calls. I have one I have to run to. Heidi, I saw your hand go up. Do you have a quick question?
No, I was just going to say, I completely forgot. I'm requesting caption for that night, so we won't need the Zoom caption. So when I host a meeting, it won't be in this setting. But when you're playing the video, hopefully the YouTube captions will have it on there. But because we'll be doing a third-party caption, and it'll be a separate screen that parents will have to watch if they need the caption. But we can talk more about that if you want.
Let's make sure I just want to make sure we have written down for yours that exactly what we're doing on our end. So or I guess not our end, but when I share my screen, I want to make sure I have on what I'm supposed to have on for you guys. So,
sure.
Okay. Sure. All right. I have to run. Thank you. This has been wonderful. Thank you all. I appreciate you all, and looking forward to all our
good luck on everybody's pop-ups.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk
Thank
to
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you, Lourdes and Gabriel.
The same thing.